And the great thing about a four-step bullying plan is that if you do the first two steps and someone is just teasing you, but they've managed to just get the tone wrong, or they've just got you on a day when you're not feeling able to cope with it, the first two steps in the plan will still work and it won't damage a friendship. Because the first two steps in the plan, the first step would be to call it out, as Paul said. Say, I'm not comfortable with you yelling at me. Can we talk quietly, please? And most people will respond quite respectfully to that request. The second option is to walk away. And again, if this person is a friend and if they've just kind of got the teasing a little bit wrong and it's not being received well, walking away is still going to preserve that friendship, but it's just going to walk away from a situation where you're not feeling comfortable. And you'll have an opportunity to talk to that friend again later. The third step in a bullying response would be to leave to get help or to yell for help. And that's by the time you get to that stage, everyone is aware that the situation you're in is not a comfortable situation and it's not acceptable. And the fourth step is very, very important, and that is to report it. Always report any bullying behaviour to an adult immediately that you trust. Parents will be more worried about bullying and making sure you're safe than they will be about what you were doing or what you were playing when the bullying took place.
And this idea of talking to other people about what happened is another really good way of sense checking what's going on in the situation. Because when it's happening to you and you're feeling overwhelmed, it's hard to be really sure exactly what's going on. Did they really mean it? Were they being mean? What was going on? Whereas by talking it through with someone else at a later time, it can help give a little bit of perspective of that as well. Another mistake that's very easy to make, which can sometimes damage relationships, is to assume that someone who is hurting me or doing something that I don't like has a negative intention and calling that out in the moment. Because sometimes if a friend is teasing me and I tell them that they're bullying, they might get offended by that. So, in general, if someone is being mean or antagonistic or in any way threatening, uh, telling them that exact thing in the moment is likely to make them angry. A much safer way is to tell them what you would prefer them to do and give them a safe way out. So they don't have to say, yes, I was bullying you, I'm sorry. They can have the safe way out of saying, oh, I didn't mean for that to hurt you, I'm sorry I said that. And this helps to, not only it helps to save a relationship if it's a friend or someone who might be a potentially good relationship in the future, but also if it really is someone trying to give you a hard time, it allows them the space and time to think about what they've done, to recognize that they are actually hurting you in a significant way, and gives them a safe way out without them having to say, yes, I was the bad guy here. So, especially in violently dangerous situations, giving someone a way out can be a very good way to get out of a situation without having to use force or any other extreme method.
Cyberbullying is on the rise. And one of the challenging things about cyberbullying is that it can be quite subtle and it can be quite calculated over a period of time. So, cyberbullying can range from just calling another gamer a name, using poor language choices, deliberately targeting a user in a game, creating dummy accounts, acting under a false name or identity, posting information that's not factual, or sharing photos, videos, memes designed to embarrass or humiliate someone. Unfortunately, the ability to hide behind an online identity can lead to online attacks being more personal and damaging, and the effects can be long lasting even after the perpetrators have been reprimanded for their actions. One of the reasons why talking about cyberbullying was so important as a parent was that up until a certain point, I was able to have a lot of control over what my child had access to. Once they get to upper primary school, things from ranging from research to projects to interests are often geared towards online actions. And it's very difficult to suddenly realize that your child has access to the World Wide Web and everything that is potentially on or in that environment. It's important then to stress to children that they have expected gaming behavior and expected online behavior, just as they have expected physical behavior in your home or in a different environment, such as school or at a friend's house. So it's important to have a chat about the different age groups and different reasons for gaming and different access to certain games. I know that my child is quite resistant to the age limits that are put on some games because he feels that he's not affected by simulated violence or a simulated situation. And I had to have the discussion that it's not only the contents of the game that have earned that particular rating, but it is the strategies and the participants that are of any age that might be playing that game that also earn it a restricted age group. Because adults play games as well, and adults get online with other friends, and they have different reasons for playing games, for blowing off steam, for interacting with their group. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to focus on playing the game fairly or treat everybody in the game fairly. So it's important for your children to have realistic expectations that there's a strong element of uncertainty and unpredictability when you're playing in an online community and you don't have control over others' choices. Not all gamers play fairly or give everyone the opportunity to access different levels or areas within a game. And the suggested gaming is kind of like a movie rating, and it's not always based on how your child is able to cope with the themes and content of a game, but how they're also able to cope with the different reactions of others. And the e-safety commissioner has an excellent website that discusses e-safety and limiting online chatting, using private browsers, reporting bullying behaviour. And parents and carers should discuss online safety, your digital footprint, location tracking, privacy risks as a family, and come up with agreed rules for online gaming, language, behaviour, and limits. This is the first step in preventing unwanted targeting online, is by understanding your roles and your responsibilities and what to do if something occurs.
And just like we teach social skills in a physical environment, knowing what those rules are explicitly online also helps me to recognize when other people are not following those rules either. So if I'm supposed to speak nicely to people and someone is not speaking nicely to me, then that's an indication that maybe this person isn't the type of person that I would like to form a relationship with online, or that I need to just be a little bit careful around, because I don't know necessarily that they are going to follow the rules that I believe are the ones that will help us all have a good time.
One of the first rules I created was that we can't accept any friendship requests from people that I can't physically identify. So if it's a friend from school, that's fine. But I need to be able to know, be able to contact a parent if I needed to, or to be able to have some kind of interaction with them face to face. And that is really the only way that I can determine that the person you're online with is who they say they are. It's incredibly important to take action if your child is bullied online. And again, parents are always more concerned that bullying has occurred than if you've played your favorite game a little bit too long. And the hardest thing about cyberbullying is curbing that initial response of, I want to argue and I want to respond and I want to say you're doing the wrong thing. Because that's only going to antagonize that bully. Again, this is a controlling, attention seeking behavior. And if you feed that need for attention, you feed that need for interaction, then it's likely the bullying will become worse. Take a screenshot of any evidence and check the laws in your state. Report any bullying behaviour and use blocking features to keep your online gaming platforms safe, such as being able to shut down the chat in a particular game. Also, talk to a trusted adult immediately, because it's very overwhelming to be challenged online, and especially with somebody that you don't know and who doesn't know you. And report bullying content to the Safety Commission. They can assist parents or families in getting really negative stuff down, such as images or chats, or especially if somebody's posing as your child in a particular context or situation. And again, know that the bullying behaviour reflects the bully, not the person that's being bullied. No one has the right to make you feel unsafe. Bullying under any circumstances is not acceptable or excusable.
One of the challenges, especially with cyberbullying, is that the actions themselves are not always overtly negative. So sometimes, if it's easier to call things out if they are obviously bullying type behavior. So, this is where trusting our feelings around an issue, trusting our gut response, is ultimately the thing that can keep us the most safe. But unfortunately, especially as autistic children, we are taught that most of the time, my social instinct is wrong. I'm told, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to go in this situation. This is how, even if you have the instinct to run around in circles and shout, actually, no, I'm going to tell you as an outsider that that is not what we do in this situation. So I learned very quickly that it's up to other people to tell me what I am supposed to do and what is normal and what is okay in any situation. So being the bottom rung of the social ladder meant that literally any other person could tell me virtually anything that they wanted, and I would essentially believe them because I was so used to other people telling me how to behave socially. So with that in mind, it can help to show examples of behavior that is fairly typical. So for example, if I react easily, if I tend to get into arguments, if I get upset really easily, I'm going to be a prime target for people poking me to watch me explode. So if I know that that's what they're trying to do, then when they say something a little bit mean or a little bit antagonizing, or when they say something scandalous like pi is exactly 3, waiting for me to be outraged and respond, I can sense more easily that I know what they're trying to do, and then I can keep myself safe by avoiding the situation rather than letting myself be triggered and following those instincts and giving those people exactly what they want.
And again, the same initial response to any form of bullying applies, and that is to take a deep breath and seek help rather than reacting. It's very tempting to react in the moment and to try and solve the situation yourself. But this is one of those situations where it really is important to, one, not react emotionally in the situation, and to two, seek a trusted adult's opinion and advice.
People often ask me, how do I handle bullies? Or some other kind of question like that. And I think what Shannan just said is a key part of that answer. You don't have to handle them by yourself. If they're picking on you, it's probably because they're stronger than you. That might be physically, that might be emotionally, that might be socially, right? If someone is poking you and you poke them back and they know that they're stronger than you and you're going to break first, then sometimes there's not a lot you can do in that situation other than get out of the situation or look for help. So what can help look like? Help might look like telling an adult, telling an authority figure, telling someone who's outside the situation. Help might also look like a best friend or sticking near someone who can help you to navigate those social situations and recognize what the bullies are doing. So I might be sitting in class and someone says something to me, and my friend says, don't pay any attention to them. They're just trying to upset you. All of a sudden, that helps me to regulate myself because I'm relying on the strength of a friend to help me get through the situation.
So, in summary, when we're talking about assessing safe situations and avoiding or coping with bullying, the most important element here is that everyone has the right to feel safe and secure from harm or danger. And it's important to acknowledge and respect that what feels safe and secure for you may be different from the people around you or your friends. No key safety information, personal, environmental, activity based, health, and medical. Know that bullying is toxic and a controlling type of behaviour that involves words or actions intended to harm or intimidate. And often bullies try to target people that they feel are vulnerable or unsupported. Best way to obviously retaliate to that is to make sure that you are supported. The four best responses to bullying are to call it out, walk away, get help, and report it. Cyberbullying involves text, images, gossip, identity theft, imitating and excluding others online. Understand and practice expected online behaviours because this helps to create a safe online environment. Cyberbullying is underreported because part of the bullying process is designed to make children feel ashamed and alienated. This is why we really have focused on talking to a trusted adult, getting that support. The E-Safety Commissioner Australia promotes online safety education for Australian young people, educators and parents. It also provides a complaints mechanism for young people who experience serious cyberbullying and for Australians to report illegal and offensive online content.
So, setting personal boundaries is a lifelong skill that is as absolutely essential in forming healthy relationships into the future. So, when we talk about understanding when I feel safe, we're talking about understanding where my own personal boundaries are. What am I okay with? What am I not okay with? And learning how to communicate those to others in a respectful way that allows them to to give me what I need in a certain situation. So that is one of the reasons why teaching self-advocacy skills to children is so important for later in life. Because if I believe that I have the right to feel safe, I have the right to ask other people to care if they are stepping on my toes or not, then it makes it a lot easier to start to form real relationships down the track, because I know what I need and I can learn to start communicating it to other people. And the crucial skill of recognizing that if I have communicated my boundary to another person and they are ignoring it, they are not the kind of person that I want to form a relationship with. In fact, I need to protect myself from that person and from that situation.
And from a parenting perspective, this is one of those situations where you need to model prioritizing issues to your child. Yes, it's probably quite frustrating that they maybe have got back online when they shouldn't, or they were playing a lot later than they should have. But the greater concern is if bullying has occurred online, if they've been made to feel unsafe, and you need to reward your child for being open and honest and for seeking your help in these situations, and leave those other minor issues aside. Just put them aside and again make sure that you've got that open and trusted dialogue, because this is what we want to foster in our kids, that when things go wrong, that there is somebody who is always on their team, and that person, their parents, carers, and family.
And that sends the clear message that you do matter, your boundaries matter, your well-being matters, which means if someone is telling me that message, it means I'm allowed to care for my own well-being. I'm allowed to insist on my own safety. I'm allowed to judge for myself if I feel like a situation is safe or not, and I'm actually allowed to take care of myself.